Villalobos when he named it Las Islas Filipinas. Okay, so even the death of Ferdinand Magellan, the Spanish king did not stop sending navigator going to the Philippines, especially when the Spanish king uh, knew or heard that the Philippines were pagans, okay, because of the reports written, the article written by Antonio Fagapeta. So it was Antonio Fagapeta and few of the crew of Ferdinand Magellan were able to return after the Battle of Mactan. So even the death of Ferdinand Magellan, the Spanish king did not stop because he had to implement the three G's. What do you mean by three G's? God, gold, and glory. Okay? So he wanted to spread Christianity in the Philippines. Okay? Although at that time, during the arrival of Ferdinand Magellan, it was only Hari Humabon and Pinhuana who was baptized as a Catholic, but the natives were not, okay, because of the death of Ferdinand Magellan. So his troop had no choice but to left the Philippines. Okay? So he wanted to spread Christianity. How about gold? Because they knew that the Philippines had so many natural resources, and of course, literally, we have gold also in the Philippines. So spices are found in the Philippines, which is worth gold in Europe, including Spain. So the Spanish king wanted to get these things. And then glory, because at that time your country is considered powerful if you can colonize as many countries as you can. So because of these three objectives, the Spanish king decided to send another navigator. It was during the time of Roy Lopez de Villalobos that he named it Las Islas Filipinas in honor of Prince Philip. Okay? So, of course, during this period, Filipinos was referred to the Spaniards who was born in the Philippines. So, if you are pure Spanish blood, okay, however, you were born in the Philippines, you are called Filipino. But the native Filipinos were called Indio. Okay? So the archipelago was decentralized and divided into localized settlements called barangay. So it was a barangay system. We don't have yet the national government because during the time of Roy Lopez de Villalobos, they were not able to establish a central government or a national government because Villalobos' stay in the Philippines also did not take long. Okay? So, during this time, okay, uh, there, in terms of spiritual beliefs, okay, even we were pagans, the Filipinos, the natives, by nature, were religious, okay? Uh, it was, the religion was headed by a Babaylan. They call it Babaylan for the Visayas. And then Catalunan in Luzon. Okay? Usually there were women. Okay? That's why during this period, women in the Philippines were very powerful and influential. Okay? Because they had the religious rights at the time. Okay? The function of the Babaylan or Catalunan, they are the spiritual leaders. Okay? One must also acquire all the skills, abilities needed to fulfill this position. So if you are the Babaylan, you are involving in sacrifices for the local deities, and you have to ask spirits to gain favors. So they do the rituals, okay? The babaylan or the katalunan, they lead they are the spiritual leaders, so they lead the prayers, okay? And of course, during Thanksgiving, they have to worship the gods, okay? This is not the Christ that we know, or God the Father that we know, because they were not yet Christianized. Okay? But in that sense, we can say that Filipinos as early Filipinos were religious. Okay? And then, of course, they have, for Visayas, they believe in Diwata. Okay? For Tagalogs, they use or they believe in Anito. So the deities were manifested by the forces of nature, but they are also represented through wooden carvings and inanimate objects. So they use wooden carvings as part of their worship. Okay? So when the Spaniards came and they saw this Anito, okay, of course they had to implement Christianity, the Catholic religion. That's why there was a forced conversion. Okay? So if you want to stay in the lowland, okay, you have to join the Catholic religion. However, there are few Filipinos who wanted to stay into their original religion, the paganism. So they were allowed by the Spanish authorities, the Spanish priests, but they have to stay in the mountainous areas. And they were labeled as tribes. So why is this so? Because remember when the Spaniards built churches in the Philippines, you've noticed that they have this big bell tower. Okay? So before the mass starts, okay, they will ring the bell. So once you heard the church bell, you are required to attend the mass. That's the purpose during that time. Okay? So you observe that the Philippines is, or even during that time, they architecturally designed that the church, municipality, and the plaza is within the vicinity. Duolra, Tapad. Okay? Why? Because there was a union between church and state. Okay? What do you mean by that? The religious leaders can intervene into religious affairs. At the same time, the religious affairs can intervene to the governmental affairs. That's why they have to change office. That's why it should be a walking distance. And then what's the purpose of the plaza? The purpose of the plaza is during the Spanish period. Before you attend mass, everybody will gather in the town plaza. Okay? And then all of them will go to the church. Once everybody's in the church, they will close the door of the church and it will open the moment that the mass ended. And of course, the family will also gather to the plaza for picnics, gatherings, etc. Okay? So, you've noticed that one in the Philippines, even if you go to the provinces, tapad na jud ang city hall or municipal hall, and then the town plaza. Right? Here in Cebu, we have the Plaza Independencia, Basilica del Santo Niño, and the City Hall at the back of Santo Niño. Okay? So these are architecturally designed from entire nation. Okay? So they're very focus on the religious aspect. They really wanted to spread Christianity in the Philippines. Okay? However, there are areas in Mindanao, particularly the Bangsamoro area, wherein the Spanish priests were not able to convert them into Catholic, into Christianity. That is the Filipino Muslims in ARMM during that time. Okay? Because we all know that the Muslims, they are very uh, they are brave. Okay, they're willing to die for their religion. Okay, they can declare jihad. Okay, that's part of their religion, just to protect the Islam religion. So when the Spaniards uh, knew about this, okay, they could not win against the Muslims in ARMM in protecting their Islam religion. And then the Spanish authorities also observed that the Muslims they were not recruiting natives to join their Islam religion. Okay? And even up to now, di ba? Do you have friends nga Muslim? Na ba'y Muslim here? Na ay Muslim or believe in Islam religion? Anybody? Wala? So, have you observed that you have Muslim friends? Nag-recruit ba sila sa inyo to join their religion? You have Muslim friends, guys.
Yes, miss.
Namin.
Yes, miss.
Okay. Nakasuway ba mo nga gi-recruit mo nila to join their Islam religion?
Wala, miss.
Wala, miss. Wala. Yes, that's true. Because for the Islam, okay, if you want to join the religion, it should be free will. No recruitment, no influence, okay? Unlike in other religion, you observe that they really recruit you, okay? But for the Islam, they're not like that, okay? If you want to join the religion, you're welcome. But it should be free will. Imong kabubuton. Okay, nobody influence you, nobody coerce you to join them. So the Spanish authorities decided that okay, let's leave the Bangsamoro to the Muslim. Let them practice their Islam religion. If you trace the history in the Philippines, Islam was really the first religion that arrived in the Philippines. It was through Mukdum, okay, the Muslim Mukdum. Okay, he was accidentally drifted to Palawan and he went to Mindanao, okay, to Sulu, and he introduced the Islam religion. Okay, that's why you've noticed that the Islam religion was not spread throughout the nation. Okay, so that's what happened. Okay, and then before the pre-Spanish period, okay, during the pre-Spanish period, the early Filipinos had already our own culture. Okay, in the excerpts mentioned by Fray Juan de Plasencia, okay, he was responsible for the foundation of various towns in Luzon, particularly in Laguna and Tayabas, and then he also in charge of the conversion of their inhabitants to Catholicism. And they used the book Doctrina Christiana, okay? This is the book that they use in converting the early natives to Christianity, to Catholic religion. Okay? So, nasa sila book that they use. And then, other works that would eventually preserve early Filipino cultural traditions such as Las Costumbres de los Filipinos in Filipinas and then the Vocabulario de la Lingua Tagala. Okay? So, he noted the Tagalog language, okay? And then customs, the traditions of the Filipinos. So he was able to mention this manunggal jar. Okay, we found it in one of the caves in Palawan. What is this manunggal jar? So in your book, you will see this one. Okay, wherein the dead body of the Filipinos well kept. Okay, so and then in the jar you see two persons. This they believe that these two persons will be the one to guide the soul of the dead body to heaven. Okay, so we have that one because we don't have practice yet the use of coffins. Okay, so they also recognize that the relation of the worship of the Tagalogs to their gods and their burials and the superstitious beliefs of the Filipinos were also reported. Okay? So, unsa may gi-mention diri ni Fray Juan de Plasencia that the early Filipinos, we worship pandot, they call it. It's as celebrate a festival. So sa unang panahon, anad na ang mga Pinoy aning fiesta. Okay? But we don't call it yet fiesta until the Spaniards came. And this practice that like gathering, eating within the barangays, they rename it to fiesta and in honor of a saint. Mona, lagi in honor of the saint. And this tradition is passed on from one generation to another. That even up to now, up to this day, we celebrate town fiesta. Okay? But more in the provinces. Okay? In highly urbanized cities, anay fiesta, but in terms of kaon, pakal, dili na pareha sa probinsya nga eat all you can. You can hop from one house to another house kay mamakal ka sa pika silingan kay mo adto pa ka sa laing silingan, laing balay. Kay kung dili nimo adtuon mahiubos pod, no? So that's the concept of town fiesta. Okay? Ang known ani is in Bohol. Known kay ning Bohol sa town fiesta because whole month of May naagay fiesta. Isa may taga Bohol dire. Anybody? Magsugod nag May 1 up to the last May 31 naagay fiesta sa Bohol. And the usual tradition of the Boholanos, they will go home during the fiesta. Okay? Wag yun na ilahang tradition even up to now. Naundang lang ang fiesta because of the pandemic. Okay? I don't know this year na nabalik na ba ang fiesta. Sa inyong probinsya, nanay fiesta sa inyong probinsya?
Nana, miss.
Hikay nana. So, karon na nag-start, no? Last year, wala, no?
Karon lang, miss.
Yeah, karon lang. Okay? Yeah. So, nanay fiesta because open naman good. At least, gamay na lang, dili, wala kayo nag-spread ang COVID virus. Okay. Do you have any questions, clarifications? Nagkasinabot na, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Nay pangutana? Roy, do you have question, Roy? Say pangutana, Roy. Wala. Can you mute your mic, Roy? Aron di ka ka-distract. Okay. So, of course, when the Spaniards arrived in the Philippines, they've noticed that we possess many idols. Okay? We worship them like they call it likha, which were images with different shapes, and at times they worship any little trifle or which they adored, as did the Romans, that particularly a dead man who was brave in war, endowed with special faculties, to whom they commended themselves for protection for their tribulations. So, napod sila kanang mga gods and goddesses, okay, to protect them, and they worship it. Another idol that they called Dian Masalanta, okay, he was the patron of lovers and of generations. Okay, so they worship on this Dian Masalanta, for love life. Nasa na sila. And then another idols, they call it Lakapati and Ijanali, were the patrons of cultivated lands and husbandry. So here, if they want to ask favors, prayers for their good harvest, they pray to Lakapati and Injanali. And then when we talk of husbandry, the good health of their animals, okay, they also worship, so that the animals during that time is very important, and even up to now, no? Like example, we have the carabao for the farmers. That's very important. So they pray of good health of their animals, including their pets, because slowly they were able to domesticate the wild animals. Okay, they like goats, like pigs. They can now bring it in their home. Okay, cow, carabao, etc. Okay, Roy, Daniel, can you mute your mic? Roy, where is Roy? Okay, and then of course for Antonio Morga, okay, he was able to discuss, okay, the economic, social, and cultural life of the Filipinos, okay, when they arrived from 1493 to 1603. Can you text Roy, or somebody, can you call Roy to mute his mic so that we will not be disrupted?
I-mute lang siya, miss.
Ha? I
Pwede
can.
siya ma-mute, miss. Oh.
Okay.
Kana, miss.
Okay. Sige. So for Antonio Morga, he observed that we have political system during that time. It was headed by a datu or chieftain with the help of the Council of Elders. Okay? So if there are issues or crimes happen in the barangay, the Council of Elders and the datu will decide. So what were the crimes during that time? Of course, wala pang rape. Okay? Murder, wala pa na. So, usually, unsa may crime that exists during that time? Chismis. Okay? Kung marites ka, that's crime. They can file case against you. What else? Mangawat o theft. Okay? That's one of the early crimes during that time. Okay? So, of course, the penalty, it depends on the gravity of the crime that you committed during that time. Okay? If dili ra kayo, it's a petty crime, okay? The guilty person will serve in the house of the person that he committed, he indebted. Okay, kung nangutang ka, di ka kabayad, you have to serve in the house of the creditor as a means of payment of your debt kung mangutang. What else? There are trial by ordeal. Okay, unsa man ning trial by ordeal? Lumsan ka sa dagat. If you are able to survive, that means you are not guilty. Okay? Or laapay laing punishment, patuluan ka og kandila, naapay lain punishment, ipapaak kag mga ants. So depende na. So ingon ana ra ang punishment if you commit crimes before the Spanish period. Okay? The pre-Hispanic time in the Philippines. Kasabot. Do you have any questions? Pangutana? And then for Miguel de Luarca in Relación de las Islas Filipinas, okay, he observed the native culture and traditions. Okay. In 1575, Luarca and two friars traveled to China and witnessed the grandeur of the great kingdom. Okay? But in the Philippines, the customs and tradition of the early Filipinos is worth discussing the natives in significant sense. It was one of the early Spanish accounts coming from the layman. Okay? So, here the observation of Miguel de Luarca, we have the people of the coast, they called it Iligüenes. Katong namuyo daplin sa sapa. Okay? If you are living in so the Iligüenes believed that heaven and earth had no beginning and that there were two gods, they call it Kaptan and Magwanyen. So, lahi-lahi po ang name sa mga gods and goddesses nila during that time. Depende sa location. Okay? Why is this so? Because we were not united yet. We focused mainly on our barangay. And there was no mode of transportation that you can travel from one place to another. Ang bangka, they are only available for trading or fishing. Wala siya gigamit as passenger ship that you can travel from one place to another. Ang mo travel at that time using the boat were the traders and the fishermen. Okay? And then for Pedro Chirino, okay, he observed in the Philippines that towns and parishes across the archipelago, as well as Pedro Chirino certainly had a place in the Philippine history as founder of various towns and parishes across the archipelago. And then, as he was also crucial role in recording the ancient Tagalog script by baybayin in Latin alphabet. Okay? And then, his position in early Philippine historiography is also settled in numerous works as Relación de las Islas Filipinas. Okay? So these were the observation, the contribution of Pedro Chirino in the Philippines. He was founder of various towns. So they subdivided na the place. Instead of barangay, they make it by town. Okay? And then these towns were also, they have to build a church. Okay? So, what you observe in the Philippines, per municipality, per town, we have an old church. Have you observed? Sa probinsya ninyo, naabay mga karaang simbahan na itukod panahon pa sa Kastila?
Amis.
Nice.
Oh, yes, naadjud na. Okay? Kung wala man gani, maybe it was destroyed during World War. But naadjud, if you here in Cebu, I'm from the south, okay? So magsugod ka sa Talisay down to Santander, nadyo'y mga karaang simbahan. Okay? It was built during the Spanish period that even up to now still functioning. Okay? Gigamit pa gihapon. And you've noticed these old churches, they are not made up of concrete. No, dili na hollow blocks, di na simento. Unless kato mga bag-o na nga simbahan. Okay, ang mga karaan di na simento. Okay? Corals, limestone, gipilit na og white egg. Okay? So if you are not a Catholic, you can still visit the old churches and take it as historical site. Okay? Because wa man sa gibawal sa mga Katoliko nga bawal pasudlon ang laing religion. You are all welcome. And you try to visit. Sulod and observe the church because this is historical sites as well. Imagine during the time of the Spaniards, 1500s, it was built, or some later na, but we're talking here of centuries. Dili ra decades. When we say decades, built 10 years ago, we're talking here of centuries. So how many years they exist?
100.
Okay? Pila man ka years ang 1 century? Guys,
100.
100.
100, miss.
Oh, see, 100. So, imagine, typhoon, calamities, earthquakes, and even World War I and II, nakabarog ra gihapon, wala na biktima, wala na pabuto. Okay, so this is one of the contribution, the new what we call it, the best contribution of the Spanish government. Okay, sa Philippines. Dili ra pud tanan negative yun ang ilang contribution. Introducing to us Christianity, this is one thing that we Filipinos thank the Spaniards because we were able to know God. Okay? Of course, we have different na kind of Christianity in the Philippines. We have Catholic, we have the Iglesia, we have the Jehovah's Witnesses, the born again, etc. But we pray the same God. Okay? So, we belong to Christianity. Okay? And we get this because of the Spaniards that they introduced to us. Okay? Do you have any questions? Clarifications?
No question, ma'am. Wala, miss.
Okay, nagkasinabot.
No, miss.
Okay. So, our prelim exam, okay, our prelim exam set on September 19, 20. Okay? So, I will adjust the calendar of activities in the LMS later aron ma-set na ko. And then the coverage for our prelim is chapter 1, 2, 3. Okay? So next week I will discuss chapter 3. So na ako'y mga activity nga ipabuhat, okay? Whether online or face-to-face,